Hey, Calvary family, it's Pastor Jay here, and I just want to give you an update on where we're at with our gatherings and moving forward with our live streams, and so I just appreciate a few minutes of your time today. Last week, the government made the announcement that churches could gather again with a 30% of their seating capacity. We as a church have a seating capacity of about 400 people. So that meant that at 30%, we could have about 120, 125 people in our building on a Sunday gathering, including our workers and the people who are facilitating the service. There was very little direction or guidelines that were given at the time. Really, the only guidelines they gave us was that number of 30% of seating capacity and maintain social distance. So we worked really hard behind the scenes to put in place and go beyond, obviously, just those two guidelines so that we could make and create a safe place for people to come and worship together. Since that time, however, the provincial health, medical officers, and county officers have released more detailed restrictions and suggestions for the gatherings. Two of those guidelines, I think, would make it very difficult for us to gather together in the building and maintain the essence of who we are as the people of God. The first would be that they would want everyone in attendance to wear masks. And the second government suggestion is that there be no singing at all. Now, I don't know about you, but I can't imagine us gathering on a Sunday morning or any other time as Calvary Church coming together and not singing, not lifting our hearts and expressing our worship and praise to God in singing and in song and in worship. And so last week, we were willing to make concessions of social distancing, having people enter and leave the building at staggered times. We even said, hey, no fellowship in the foyer. We know how much we love to fellowship and talk, but we said, you know what? Just so that we can be wise and prudent and make this a place where people feel safe to come. No lingering in the lobby. When service is over, leave right away. We even discourage the use of the bathrooms. However, there are some restrictions that I feel if we were to follow those guidelines, we would simply stop being who God's called us to be. And one of those is obviously not singing, not worshiping, and lifting our voices in praise. I don't believe that it serves us well to sacrifice the essence of who God has called us to be as worshipers, people of His presence, to sacrifice and give that up. I believe it serves us better to continue to live stream for the next little while. And then as phase 2, which opens up this Friday, as we get 2-3 weeks into phase 2, and we start to see the COVID trend decrease, there's less infections and the numbers are going down. And as we become comfortable going out doing things like getting haircuts, maybe going to an outside restaurant, going to the splash pad with the children, as we start to open up more and do things like that, we will become more relaxed and more confident about gathering together. And so we want to wait and see what happens as we enter into phase 2. Then, at that point, we will know better how we can gather and what our behaviors can be when we gather together. Again, I don't want to sacrifice who God has called us to be just so that we can gather. No, I want and believe that the Lord will honor our live stream gatherings so that when we do finally come together, we can be true to who He has made us to be and true to the DNA of Calvary Church. And so, we are really working hard behind the scenes to prepare for that day when we can come. And it's going to be a celebration. It's going to have rejoicing. I know God is still preparing us and putting a spirit of expectancy in our hearts of what He wants to do when we come together. But I want us to be able to come together and not feel anxious or feel restricted. And so we're grateful for the advisors and the people. I was on the phone with a pastor friend today who has medical doctors that have advised him in his church, and I'm thankful for the board and our chief medical examiner in town here and in the province, who are all advising us. And God has called us to seek the counsel of wise people so we can make wise decisions. And I believe that we're doing that. So this is what I challenge you to do. As our bubbles are allowed to increase, why don't you invite a family over to your house Sunday morning for the live stream. You can pray together, worship together, maybe even have a meal after, hang out in the backyard. I think that would be a good way for us to start gathering in smaller groups. And then when that day comes when we can gather as a group, it's going to be a party, it's going to be a celebration. So I want to thank you for your prayers, for your understanding, for your partnership, and standing with us. We will advise where we're going and what we're doing in the next couple of weeks. We'll do another video. But until that day, God bless. We'll talk to you later, and thank you.